Hi guys, you're welcome to Rare Magic YouTube channel. My name is Oluseyi. I'm here to talk to you about my favorite wedding photography camera, the Nikon Z6 II. This recently released camera is my current favorite. I love this camera so much for so many reasons. Let me show you. First off, let's talk about the image quality. This camera is a 24 megapixel camera. Like that's amazing. That's good enough, you know, especially for wedding photographers. You know, I personally shoot raw, and the result I get from my raw images is super. Even sometimes I shoot JPEG also. And when I import my photos on Lightroom and I grade or try to manipulate the colors or bring out the shadows, expose the image more, I get amazing result from it. You know, it's just so fantastic. The shutter speed of this camera can go as high as 8,000. Yeah, 8,000, 1/8,000 shutter speed. Most average cameras can't go more than maybe 3,200 or 4,000. Like the Nikon D750, the maximum you can go is 4,000. But for this camera, you can go as high as 8,000. If you are shooting in a very harsh condition, maybe you are shooting in daytime sunlight, that kind of 12 p.m. sunlight, and you need to kill the light as much as you can go as high as 8,000 on this camera, you know, and get that best result possible. Now let's talk about the JPEG quality. You know, a lot of DSLRs that I've used in the past, a lot of cameras I've come across, the JPEG quality is usually ridiculous, terrible. You know, when you shoot, if you don't shoot raw, just forget about having a quality image. When you end up shooting JPEG, you tend not to be able to have enough liberty to, you know, enhance the image possible. There are times I'm shooting a wedding or an event and I run out of memory space and I have to manage JPEG. And when I edit, I had a time when I shot a whole wedding on JPEG. I was even worried that the result won't be nice, but I shot it on this Z6 II, and trust me, it was fantastic. I would even share some images from that wedding. You should see it on the screen by now. The result is just amazing. The JPEG rendering quality, the colors, you know, the skin tone, and the sharpness. You won't even know the image was shot on JPEG. I will still advise you shoot on RAW though, but in situations where you have to shoot JPEG, or if you're personally someone that prefers to shoot JPEG because you don't have to do so much work on your editing, this camera is just it to do it for you. So let's talk about the low light performance. Major mirrorless cameras these days have fantastic and amazing low light performance. This Nikon Z6 II is just super. You know, I shoot a lot of low light work because I'm a wedding photographer, you know, at events, at hotels, you know, and at dark places. And my major go-to lighting is continuous light. And if you want to get that beautiful ambience photograph, you tend to take up your ISO so you can enjoy, you know, the colors and the lighting of the room. And I do that a lot with this camera. This photo on the screen right now is a perfect example. I shot this image around ISO 1000 because I wanted the light of the environment to be very, very evident, you know, to be visible in the image. And you can see the result is amazing. I just took my lighting, I reduced the power to as low as 1/128, and I took up my ISO so I can enjoy the ambience of the room. And you can see that the image is still crystal clear and sharp. You know, you don't need to insist on sticking to an ISO lower than 500. You can go as high as 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. I go as far as 4,000 when I'm shooting events, and I get, you know, amazing clean results, you know, and sharp images. Also, this camera comes with hybrid sensor phase detect. You know, it's just amazing. There's this autofocus function it comes with that doesn't come with the Z6 or the Nikon D750 or any lower range cameras. You know, when you are shooting motion, specifically maybe events, people dancing, or you are shooting wildlife, or you are trying to capture connection, maybe bridesmaids dancing, having fun, and you want to focus on a particular spot. Let's take for example the bride's face. You can just turn on your, you know, face detect, and it keeps tracking. As long as you just click on where or the face you want it to focus on, it will keep tracking that motion as she moves around. You know, that autofocus keeps tracking that face, and that is a very, very handy function for you as a wedding photographer when you are shooting events. You know, sometimes there's a lot of pressure with the lighting, the direction, the moment, and all the whole, you know, functions, you know, but having this function can help you track your focus in a more accurate and precise manner. Another thing I'd like you to know is that this camera has extremely fast autofocus. You know, the autofocus is amazing, even on adaptive lenses. When I say adaptive lenses, I'm talking about those lenses that are not directly the Z mount lens. You know, if you look at this camera, you see that I attached an FTZ. That's what it's called, an FTZ converter. So it will be compatible with other lenses like Sigma lenses, Tamron lenses, third-party lenses generally, and also Nikon lenses that are made for DSLRs. There are some cameras that when you connect those mirrorless cameras to third-party or adaptive lenses, you don't get the best autofocus. It doesn't perform best. But on this camera, it's just amazing. I used a lot of third-party lenses. In fact, I don't even own any Z mount lens. All my lenses are Nikon and Sigma lenses, and the focusing is super. You won't even know you're using a third-party lens when you are working on this camera. Trust me. And in times where you want to do a little bit of video, just like me, I use my cameras for my YouTube video. I'm shooting this video with a Nikon Z6 right now. This Z6 II shoots 4K. Yes, it shoots 4K video. That's 2160p video, and also shoots 120 frames per second. If you are trying to achieve that extreme slow-mo videos that you see on all these wedding videos, you can shoot it with this Z6 II camera. So when it comes to video functionality, the only issue I have with this is that it doesn't shoot log like Canon or Sony. It doesn't shoot flat profile. You have to stick to the pre-installed profile like the standard, neutral, vivid and co for it. But the profiles are super amazing. I'm shooting one of the camera profiles right now, and the camera colors is crystal clear and sharp. But other than that, when it comes to the quality of the video, the focusing, the color, also the fact that you can shoot 4K, you can shoot at high frame per second, this camera can get the job done for you. And also this camera shoots as high as 14 frames per second. Yes, I really don't think you should be expecting more than 14 frames, to be honest. I don't even think I shoot up to 14 frames per second. When you're trying to capture moments, especially you're shooting wildlife, you're trying to capture a lion running, Other than that, when it comes to moments or natural events, you don't need more than 14 frames per second. That is super fast. In a second, you have 14 frames. If you are using a very fast card, like an XQD card or a CF Express card, you can access this function. If you are using, you can use a fast SD card also, but most SD card might not go as high as 14 frames. But if you're using a premium fast SD card, you can shoot as much as 14 frames per second. And also you can go as high as 51,000 when it comes to the ISO. Yes, I don't advise you go all the way to 51,000 to be honest, but you can go as high. In extreme situation, maybe you're trying to create something, you're trying to do a time-lapse video. There are some kind of videos that might require you to go that high when it comes to your ISO, even if it's a time-lapse photograph. Those photographs you leave on your tripod for so long. There are times where you can play with your settings. This camera gives you that liberty, and that's one thing I love about this camera. Naturally, I don't usually go more than maybe 5,000 ISO, but if you have some situations where you like to go higher, it gives you so much room, to play with the ISO and go as far as you want. So this camera comes with two different types of memory slots. We have the big size card and the small size where you can put your SD card. For the big size, you can put your CF Express card or the SQD card. The CF Express and SQD cards are super fast. I use the CF Express. It's super fast. Yes, it's on the high side when it comes to the price, but it's what I would recommend for you to have that fast, quality results. But SD cards are equally as good, and this camera gives you the liberty to choose if you want to use an SD card or an SQD card. All in all, one thing I need you to understand when it comes to choosing the right camera for your wedding photography is there are certain things that you need. Don't get overexcited and just try to spend so much money on the high-end cameras. If you can afford it, fantastic. I can afford to get the Z7 or the Z9, but I don't really have much of an interest in upgrading right now because I have what I need. 24 megapixel is fantastic. I have facial tracking where I can track the face when I'm shooting, and the autofocus is super. So I really don't I don't see the need to say I have to spend extra bucks to upgrade to the high-end when I'm getting what I need with this. If you can't afford to go for the high-end cameras, the Z6 II will just do it for you. It's like an entry-level mirrorless camera. If you can't afford the Z6 II, you can also go for the Z6. It's equally as good, especially if you're a photographer. I won't recommend the Z6 for videography, but photography is super. The autofocus is equally as good. This Z6 II is just an upgrade of the Z6. So if you can add a little bit, an extra box, you can go for the Z6 II. It's good enough. It might not be as good as the Z9 or the Z7 II and the other high-end Nikon mirrorless that is out there. But Z6 II can do the job for you. I'm sure you guys see my work, and if you check out my work, you'll see that all my pictures, I don't shoot anything outside my Z6 and my Z6 II. They do the job for me. I'll talk about the lenses I use on another video. I also like to say this, when it comes to megapixel, 24 megapixel is fantastic because it's super fast and it does not take the space on your memory card unnecessarily. I would advise this if you are into commercial work. Maybe you work for brands, you take all these high-end pictures for magazines, for billboards, for advertisements. and you can afford to go for that doesn't mean 24 megapixel won't do the job, but if you can afford to go for an higher end camera, you can go for the Z7 too. So that one has like, I think 46 megapixel, and or Z9, that one has around 46 megapixel also. So those ones can give you much more, you know, detailed images when it comes to commercial works. When it comes to wedding work, 24 megapixel is the best. You know, it's fast, you have enough quality that you need for your images. If you are shooting raw, you get 24 megapixel per image. That is perfect. You know, you have all the details you need. You don't need all the old 46 megapixel that will just unnecessarily take your space, because you have to deliver up to like 500, 700 photos for wedding photo. Imagine delivering, shooting, like for me, when I'm shooting, I shoot up to like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 images per wedding. Shooting at 45 megapixels, that is a lot. I'll be needing over 256 gig, if not more, to shoot one wedding. But with my 128 gig, I can shoot at raw and shoot a whole wedding, you know. And sometimes I even shoot JPEG and I still get amazing, decent results. I've been using this camera for a year and few months now, and I must say I'm super amazed. You know, I've not had a cause to think like I want to switch or upgrade or change my brand or whatever. You know, it's amazing. You know, I love the colors. It gives me natural colors. That is one thing I usually look forward to in my photographs, especially when I'm shooting raw. I like my photos to be natural, so I can have enough room to color grade to my taste, you know, and get the best result possible. And the body is quite firm, you know, and durable. So I strongly suggest this camera for wedding photographers, specifically wedding photographers. You need something fast, accurate, autofocus, you know, fantastic image quality, and even 4K video. You know, this camera is my best option for you. And if you have any other thing you'd like to know about this camera, about the functions or the results possible, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section down below. You know, I'll be willing to respond to your question or even make another video for you. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. More videos coming. I'll be talking about my lenses, behind the scene videos of me shooting, and many amazing contents for you. Watch out.